بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our series on family and Mahdawi Tarbiyah. Today we study factors that bear on Tarbiyah and on the way we become. We will mention factors that are sometimes in our hand, sometimes not in our hand, but in the end, it will become clear that the most important factor is our own free will, our own decision to choose a special way of life, a special pattern of character, and other factors can just make it easier or more difficult. But if you are determined, nothing can stop you. Maybe they slow you down, but they cannot stop you. And the good thing is that here, even obstacles that they may slow you down, when you manage to face them with determination, you gain more light, even if you have been you know, affected by them in your speed, but because you struggle more, you get more light, more reward. If you could, for example, finish this process in 5 years, and because of obstacles, it took you 10 years. But this is not going to be wasted. Actually, you will gain more over these 10 years than someone who had no difficulty and managed to finish it, for example, in 5 years. Whereas many times, actually, these obstacles are part of the process. And you may think that without problems in 5 years you could finish, but the reality is that without problems you could never finish this process. Like, for example, a student said that if there were no exams, no assignments, we could finish this high school sooner. But the reality is that those exams, assignments are all part of the process. Without them, maybe you were not able to learn anything or that much. Okay, now let us study these factors. One factor which is certainly important is inheritance, الوراثة. وارث, as we have in like زيارة وارث, and it is وارث, it's not وارثة. In some languages they say وارثة, but it's وارث. And it's زيارة الوارث. So وارث is the one who inherits, the heir. Inheritance is veratha, or earth. Certainly, inheritance has some impact, but it's not decisive, it's not determining. The same children of the same family may have different personality, different character. Even twins can be different. Sometimes when we have discussion about cloning, I say even if you clone someone, this cloned person may look like the other person because genes are similar, but it doesn't mean they become similar in character. Maybe one is mu'min, one is kafir, maybe one is generous, one is miser. So inheritance is important, but is not decisive. There's a beautiful story. Once a king and his wazir, minister, had discussion about the role of inheritance versus training and tarbiyah. So minister was highlighting more the role of tarbiyah. So one day he invited the king, and the king was surprised to see that there are cats around the table. And these cats are standing on their legs like human beings and holding a candle. The king was shocked because cats normally cannot stand on their legs. Maybe for a few seconds, they can, be like that, but not, really stand. And then carrying a handle, and all of them in a similar organized way. So the minister said, Your Excellency, this is the role of Tarbiyah. Then the king found a mouse and left it there or sent it there. Then all these cats went after the mouse. The king said, This is the role of Varatha. They, as cats, have inherited certain instincts, and therefore they forget what you have trained. So there has been always discussion, whether tarbiyah is more influential or inheritance. But the truth is, none of them is 100% influential. They all have certain role. Even our free will is not 100% because we cannot deny the role of environment, upbringing, inheritance, etc. But among all these factors, the one that can finally turn things into the way that we want is our free will. It's not 100%. In even more theological discussions, say la jabra wa la tafwid. Yeah, it's not that everything is in our hand, and it's not that also everything is predetermined. There is a space between the two, and that space is enough for our felicity. So, inheritance has certain role. Your genes have certain role. For example, sometimes even things that happen inside body. For example, about your thyroid, if it is very active or it's very weak, it can lead to certain emotions and moods and even certain kinds of tendencies in akhlaq or some of the hormones. So you may inherit certain dispositions, certain genes, certain tendencies that are there as the foundation. You can change them, but they are there. If you don't take active role, they can affect you a lot. But Islamically, we are not saying that this is the only thing. This is why, for example, it's very important your friends, who we are, your education, your teacher, your food, your environment. And there are lots of other factors too. Number two, environment. Environment includes the womb of mother before birth, includes natural geographical environment after birth. It includes social human environment, it includes family. So there are many different kinds of environment that we go through and we stay in. In Tarbiyah, inshallah, we will talk about all these later. We should not start at the time of schooling or at the time of, for example, even birth. We should prepare and plan even before birth and even before marriage. The person that you marry has some role in the tarbiyah of your child and in the way that your child is. Even the things that which are not part of tarbiyah, like inheritance, they have a role. So you have to start from advance. But now we talk about environment for a person, for a human being, a child. So first is the womb of the mother. What mother eats or drinks, whether mother smokes or doesn't smoke, what mother thinks, does, listens, watches, condition that mother goes through, if she's too stressed, if she's too frightened, if she's happy, if she's sad, all can have impact on the child, especially if mother is mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is in a state of wudu, state of tahara, and tries not to do anything which would be sinful, it has big impact on the child. We will talk about this later, inshallah. Then the second is natural environment and geographical environment. For example, what type of climate your child lives? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it moderate? It's hot? It's humid? It's dry? They have impact. Also, whether your child is given opportunity to live in nature or it's just surrounded by buildings, by artificial constructions, and I mean things which are not natural, they're man-made, makes big difference. Someone who grows up among the trees, I mean, I don't know, forest or farms, near lake, near mountains, with fresh air, clear sky, has impact. If we are not able to provide our children always with this kind of environment, at least we should try to make this available for them in evening, in weekends, in holidays. We are very close to our fitrah when we are in nature. We are very close to God when we are in nature. Nature is very sacred. It's designed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are also designed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, therefore we very much match each other and you know get energy from nature. There is a beautiful advice from Sheikh Rajabali Khayyat. You might have heard about him. There is a book by the late Sheikh Islam Shahri, Elixir of Love in English. He was Khayyat, Rajabali Khayyat. He was a trader and was very religious. He was not a kind of a scholar, but he was known as, called as Sheikh because he was spiritual, mental. He used to advise his students to learn how to see and how to hear or listen. Many times we see things just superficially in the sense that they come to our sight, but we really don't pay attention to them, we don't acknowledge them, we don't let them go inside. Sometimes, you drive from the same road for months, and then still you see once, for example, oh, this building, it seems like you don't see this building because you are not paying attention. He used to say in this way, دیدن و شنیدن را خوب درک کنید. It's very interesting. دیدن و شنیدن را خوب درک کنید. Seeing and listening must be understood well. Normally, we don't think that we should understand seeing, watching, but should understand listening. We think we should understand what we see or what we hear or listen to. But it says you should understand if idrak or that means to understand. Sometimes that means also to witness and to reach. So pay attention to the process of watching and listening. و این را جز با سیر در طبیعت جایی دیگر نمی توانید بیابید. And you cannot find this in any place except in nature. سیر در طبیعت. You must move in the nature. وقتی خوب ببینید و خوب بشنوید فهم بقیه امور برایتان آسان میشه. If you manage to see well and listen well, then understanding other things become easy for you. It's not that everything is through seeing and listening. Yeah, we have other senses plus we have reasoning, etc. But these two are very important. Quran says that هو الذي أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا. Allah is the one who brought you from the wombs of your mother while you didn't know anything. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. And then He made for you ears and eyes and hearts. Sam wal absar. So, ear and eye are very important, and for our heart. So, if you manage to listen well and watch well, understanding other things becomes easy for you. مشکل فقط این است که شما بد نبینید. problem is not to the issue that you have to be careful about is not to only see bad things or not to see, in the way which is not good. Unfortunately, many times we don't see things as they are. We only see the dark side. We only see the bad side. We only see negative things. We pass by lots of beautiful things and we don't get connected. We don't get energy from them. Every tree you pass by, every flower you pass by, the beautiful sky above us, and even sometimes, beautiful maybe gardens that people have made beautiful, I don't know, houses, all should give us energy. We see someone is, walking with his child or her child, husband and wife are walking, and, family. Someone has purchased bread and is going home to have breakfast, for example, with his family or etc. So when we see these things, we should get energy. Alhamdulillah, there is electricity, there is no power interruption, traffic is, smooth. I am healthy, people are healthy, there is no COVID. We should, see these things. Sometimes I have one problem when I leave home, and the whole day I only am thinking about that problem, as if the whole world is just my problem. When it occupies my mind, then it is as if it has filled the whole world. You have to be careful. کوه را به همان اندازه کوه ببینید. See the mount as mount. If something is big, see it big. If something is small, see it small. Don't let something small become big. Something big becomes small. عظمت را به همان اندازه عظمت ببینید. If there is something great, see the greatness of it as it is. سرسبزی و تراوت را به همان اندازه ببینید. Then you see there is vibration, vitality, something has life, is fresh, a tree, a leaf. See it as it is. Because this was very important advice. I read it word by word because I think it's a very good way of training ourselves. I had maybe mentioned this in some lectures about happiness, but just recently I came across this saying of Sheikh and I found it very much in resonance with I have been thinking and reflecting the last few years. So let your children be engaged with nature. Let them learn how to play in the nature, especially like walking, running, climbing mountain at a suitable age, swimming, riding, riding horses, for example. These are the things that they should learn, and not only it helps them as some kind of skill, but it's very good for their comprehensive growth. Also, the type of food that is given, the more natural, the more uh, you know vegetables, fruits and things from nature which are there, the better. Then we have human and social environment. This includes family, this includes neighborhood, this includes society, the school, even media, they are all some kind of environment that we live in. Certainly, family has great role, sometimes greatest role in more traditional societies and more advanced societies. Family has central role. It's a very good sign of advancement, progress. If family is marginalized, it's a sign of decline, even if they are advancing in other aspects of technology, etc. So family is very important. If there is good relation between mother and father, if mother and father love each other, respect each other, then if there's good relation between parents and children, between siblings, between grandparents and grandchildren, it has big impact, especially early years if the child is surrounded by people that are respectful, are loving each other, supporting each other, has big impact. This child is very much relaxed. But if father and mother keep arguing or fighting, or there's problem between mother and I don't know, grandma or father and grandma or grandpa, it's making child very very concerned even if they don't say anything. When father and mother argue with each other, it's like chaos for the child because they look at the parents like their lords, as we have in some hadith. Imagine if your gods are fighting each other. Alhamdulillah, we have only one God who has no partner and there's always peace and unity because when there is harmony between two individuals, the maximum is that they are united, but we have absolute unity in our Lord. But for child, in early age, father is his Lord, mother is Lord, the Rabb is parents. And if they fight, it means the whole world is fighting. So, the environment of family, if the environment is religious, if there is prayer, if there is recitation of Quran, if there is thinking about, I don't know, how to help others, charity, if they don't mention other people in a bad way, if nothing bad is watched or played at home, it has big impact on children. Let us mention a very important historical example. You have certainly heard the name of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. Muhammad was the son of the first caliph and Asma bint Umays. Asma was the wife of Ja'far al-Tayyar. When Ja'far, or after Ja'far was killed, became a martyr, then he married, she married to Abu Bakr. And in the year 10th after Hijrah, Muhammad was born. Asma had tawfiq to help Lady Fatima, salamullah alayha. And for sure, many times she was taking Muhammad to the house of Lady Fatima and Amir al-Mu'minin. He was just 3 years old that his father died. Later, Asma married to Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. So Muhammad was brought up in the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Asma was always very close to Imam Ali and Lady Fatima, even when she was married to the first caliph. Muhammad was also always supporting Amir al-Mu'mineen. He didn't support others. And he was brought up in such a way that he became a very good mu'min, very knowledgeable, very brave, very pious, and he had great love for Amir al-Mu'mineen, and it is said that Amir al-Mu'mineen was considering him as his own son. For example, when Amir al-Mu'mineen heard about martyrdom of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, he said, إن حزننا عليه على قدر السرور به إلا أنهم نقصوا بغيضا ونقصنا حبيبا. This is in Nahj al-Balagha, in wise sayings, the number 325, according to Sayyid al-Rabi. Because he was killed by some hypocrites who were in contact with Muawiyah when he was in Egypt, the time of Amir al-Mu'minin. So they were very happy that they managed to kill him. Amir al-Mu'minin says, our huzn is proportionate to their joy. They are very, very happy that they killed this loyal governor of Amir al-Mu'minin Egypt, who is his son, like his son. And Amir says, our host and grief is proportionate to their joy. Or, for example, in Sermon 68 of Nahj al-Balagha and also in letter 35, we find Amir al-Mu'minin is praising him. He says, لَقَدْ كَانَ إِلَيَّ حَبِيبًا. He was my Habib, he was my friend that I loved. وَكَانَ لِي رَبِيبًا. Rabib and Rabiba. Rabiba is for the daughter of your wife. If you marry someone who has already a daughter, and this daughter is brought up by you, it is called Rabiba. Quran we have Raba'ib. Rabib is when you're is the son of your wife, who is now your stepson. So Amir says, Kana ilayya habiba wa kana li rabiba فعند الله نحتسبه ولدا ناصحا وعاملا قادحا وسيفا قاطعا وركنا دافعا. We consider him with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a child, as a son who is nasih. He wanted the best for us. He was an agent who was working hard. He was the sword which was shone. And he was ruknan dafi'an. He was a pillar who was defending us and our cause. So Muhammad was very much close to Amir al-Mu'minin. He was one of the commanders of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, for example, in the battle of Jamal, in the battle of Siffin, in Jamal, he was in charge of the foot troops in the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And actually, when Amir al-Mu'minin wanted to send Aisha from Basra to Medina, asked Muhammad, who was like her brother, because they were both children of Abu Bakr from different mothers. He sent Muhammad with some women to escort Aisha to Medina. In the year 36 after Hijrah, after dismissing Qais ibn Sa'd, Amir al-Mu'minin appointed him as governor of Egypt. And in the year 37, he was asked by Amir al-Mu'minin to defend against hypocrites and people who were agents of Muawiyah. And then, after a few months of bravery, he was killed in the year Safar, in month of Safar of 38. So, the first Caliph and Amir al-Mu'minin, they had different kind of lines, and there were issues. But son of the first Caliph is different from, for example, daughter of the first Caliph. So you cannot deny the role of personal decision, the role of tarbiyah, the role of mothers, the role of educators in shaping the personality of people. And then outside family also. Kindergarten, nursery, primary school, secondary school, university, I don't know, madrasa, all have impact. Media has impact. Billboards on the roads, signs of the shops, they all have impact. You go to masjid, you don't go to masjid. What is provided masjid is the center. They have impact. If they go to cinema, they watch movies, they have impact. They listen to radio, they watch TV, they have internet, they have impact. Their peers, their classmates, their friends, children of neighbors, children of families that you visit, they have impact. So we have to be careful about all these things. And also your locality, for example, whether you have sacred places that you are close to, or you know, for example, if you are close to shrine, it has impact. If you are close to masjid, it has impact. When we want to buy a house or rent, we should consider how close it is to a center, to a masjid, to a place that there are mu'mineen there. These are very important, but they have impact. Then we have also to consider the age. The younger, the better. If we start working on our children as early as possible, it's better. And also for our own self-development, if we start as soon as possible, it's better. Then there are some factors which are supernatural, which are spiritual. For example, dua. Du'as that parents make for their children, or grandparents, or others make for children, has a big impact. If your father, your mother are doing good things and people pray for them and for their family has impact. Silay rahim of parents, pleasure of their own parents have impact on the children. Sadaqah, charity work has impact on children. If angels visit your house, have impact on children. If mu'minin visit, has impact. If Imam Mahdi's kind attention is fixed toward you and your family, has great impact. The du'as of Imam وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره, as we say in Dua al-Mahdawi. We ask Allah to grant us affection of Imam when he is pleased with something, his mercy, his dua, and all the barakat and goodness coming from Imam. Sometimes good dreams can have impact. Sometimes inspirations come, especially at turning points when you want to make a decision from your children, where to put them at the school, which subject they study, when they want to marry, etc. So there can be lots of supernatural factors. And then freely, especially if it is at the level of determination, can do more just child of a very vicious person with free will can become very good. Child of a prophet, if he is not using his free will properly, can become very bad. We, we end this story, with this session with a story again from history of Islam. In Medina, Rasulullah had some enemies. Some of these enemies were people who lived in Medina before Islam, which at that time was called Yathrib. And they had some leadership positions. When Rasulullah went to Medina, these people became jealous. They felt that they are losing their position and people are showing more respect to Rasulullah, listen to him. One of these two people was Abu Amir Rahib. So he was a very influential person. The other one was Abdullah Ubay. Abdullah Ubay pretended that he has become a Muslim. He was munafiq, hypocrite. Abu Amir remained in kufr. Interesting, this is very surprising, but of course we understand because for us this is very natural. But for people who don't believe in the power of free will, it's very surprising. Abu Amir had a son who was Hanzala. Abdullah Ubay had a daughter who was called Jamila. Hanzala and Jamila became very good Muslims. They married each other. And this Hanzala, when was a battle in Medina, in the Battle of Uhud, was supposed to take part in the battle. But also was his wedding. So he asked Rasulullah for permission to have his wedding and next day join the battle. Rasulullah gave him permission. So he had his wedding in the night. The next day he went for battle. It's very difficult, yeah. This first day of your marriage, but he kept his promise. He didn't change his mind. His wife was happy, so he went to the bath. He was also very sad because he didn't have water to make ghusl before going to the bathroom. He went to fight Abu Sufyan, leader of Quraysh, and managed to attack him. And when Abu Sufyan fell down from his horse, he asked Quraysh to help him. He said, "This young person wants to kill me." So someone from back threw a spear at Hamza, and Hanzala was killed next to Hamza, Sayyid al-Shuhada and Abdullah Hizam. Rasulullah said, رَأَيْتُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ يغسلون أو يغسلون حنظل بين السماء والأرض بماء المزن في صحائف من ذهب. This is mentioned in Tafsir of Ali ibn Ibrahim. So he was given ghusl by angels. Therefore, he became known as Qasilul Malaika. So Hanzala, the son of one of the greatest enemies of Rasulullah, his wife Jamila, daughter of one of the greatest munafiqeen, they became two icons of for Iman, for Taqwa. So Tarbiyah is possible. Inshallah, in the coming sessions, we will go into more detailed discussions about different stages of Tarbiyah for children, especially in the light of Intidar, inshallah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our families, to strengthen our family, to unite our community, and help us to use our free will with wisdom, determination, to the best of our interests, to the highest of our potentials. Amin Ya Rabbal Alamin.